Like, I'm sure I've got ADHD.
You have, clearly.
I have, haven't I?
ADHD, totally. And
Everyone says that.
you have, and that's fine. Now, right, we're live and be kind, no excuses. And I'm Rie Pearson. I would really like to know where I am live, because I genuinely don't know if I'm live or if I'm on the group or if I'm on the page. So if anybody's watching, if I'm on the page, please can you share me? But suspiciously, I think I'm actually live in the group. So I'm just going to go in and have a look, but it doesn't tell me. So I don't actually know where we're live. And probably what I'm going to have to do is edit this beginning bit for when it goes on YouTube. And that's fair enough. But if I could be on the page, it looks like I'm on the page.
Which page are you on?
Well, I've got a page, and I've also got a group, because I've got a group is a safe space and a page is an open space, isn't it?
Right.
And I don't actually know where I am, where we are. But anyway, hello everybody. It's Rie live in Whitley Bay. And actually I think we're on the page, so I'm going to share it to the group. So if you give us a minute, I'm just going to share in the group so people can simultaneously watch us in both spaces. And I'm just going to do that. And that's fine. And now we're sorted. And that's great. Thank you. Anyway, sorry about that. It's Rie in Whitley Bay, and it's Tuesday night, 8 p.m. And here we are live. Thank you for everybody who's watching. If you're watching on live, yay, thank you very much. If you're watching on replay, yay, thank you very much. Put some love in the comments and let us know that you're watching. If you are watching us right now, please say hello in the comments so that we can see that you're there. And also, if you're watching on YouTube and it's now the year 2027, has your phone actually been mutated into your wrist so we don't actually have to have phones anymore? Because once we're out on the internet, we're there forever. And people might be watching this in 100 years' time. And if you're now thinking, when were phones not actually mutated into our wrists, how crazy is that? I'm sorry, but it's 2022. And tonight I have with me a very special guest, Annalice Argyle from TRAC UK. And I'm just going to, Annalice, when did we meet?
Do you know, I can't remember yesterday, never mind when we met. I think it's premenopausal stuff going on.
Yeah, like at least a year now. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a chest infection, but I'm not going to die this week. We were introduced through a mutual friend, weren't we?
Yes.
For whom I am very grateful. So Sue, if you're watching, nice one. Thank you very much.
Yeah, she calls us formidable too. That's what she says.
Really?
You're the formidable too.
You've never said that to me. You've never said that to me. Anyway.
You and Rie, at the WOW gathering, she was really emotional about it. She was like, I can't believe you two partnering up and doing this. It's absolutely amazing.
I know. It was amazing. And that's right. I want to talk about the WOW, but first of all, I want you to introduce yourself to people who are watching and tell them who you are, where you are, and what you do, please. Oh, my battery's running low. Hang on. You just keep talking.
All right. I think quite a few people know me potentially already, just because of the same groups that people will be in, you know, with the TRAC UK and Be Kind, No Excuses. But I'm Annalice Argyle, and I'm a woman in long-term recovery from substance misuse. Have worked in the community and in prison settings, and I have I set up a charity. Well, first I set up a women-only recovery group, and that is still going today on Facebook. And then I set up a charity in 2015. Actually, it was a community interest company called TRAC UK, which is the Recovery Advocates and Consultants, which is a voice for, originally it was for people, but it's definitely morphed into a voice for women. And then I also have a community interest company, and the TRAC is now the charity. And so that's it's like 7.5 years ago. And I'm very passionate about helping women recover and the surrounding issues. I'm very interested in how women recover and helping women recover with the surrounding issues. So we do retreating into the community, which is walks around the area, because I believe that you can get recovery in the community. You don't necessarily have to go to rehab. And also we do helping women recover programs, and we do can't remember now, quite a few things, but if you go on the website you'll find out more information, and the WOW gathering as well with Rie.
Yeah, thank you very much. Sorry about that. I think it's all sorted now. Tonight, because if anybody who's watching, Annalice and I, weekend before last, organised a women-only wellness gathering at Century Circles, which is a campsite just in the top end of North Yorkshire. And I honestly think, Annalice, at the beginning, when we first started talking about that gathering, did we or did you think it would be the way it was?
Well, can you remember? Of course you can remember the first year. Now, I called that the pilot, but I think really this year was the pilot. And you came with your tent into a field, and you were like, you did. You turned up and you were like, you said, this is amazing. However, we had everything against us at that point. The A19 was closed. Huge works. It was just after COVID, a lot after COVID. It's still here, but you know what I mean. When we were unlocked,
yeah, in the lockdown, yeah.
There was that, and just a few other things that were. The rain, the weather. It was forecast torrential rain all day. Now, as soon as someone sees that, you just think, I'm staying in.
Yeah.
So the people who were meant to be there were there, and it was a beautiful day nevertheless, but there was probably about 25 to 30 people there.
Mm-hmm.
There was about 70 tickets sold, but there was 25 to 30 people there.
Yeah.
And even though it was a beautiful day, I was saying, I spoke to you, didn't I, Rie, and you were like, this is really needed though. Do not stop with this, because I have a really good feeling it's what women need.
Yeah.
And then after that, we decided to, after your amazing little event in the tent, which was so gorgeous, talking about your book and the barriers, the red flags for teenage girls and women in general, like what to look out for. It was just a beautiful feeling, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Talk and be honest and express how they felt about it. And we just, do you know, it was something that you can't really think about, this WOW gathering, because it's just something that's pulling us to do, isn't it? It's like it's happening whether I want it to or not. It's like something inside of me is going, so just get on with it, isn't it? It's like that, and it isn't. And this year we had over 100 women. Well, 100 tickets sold. I mean, like, they were all scattered around, so I couldn't actually count. But in the end, there was 100 tickets sold, and that is amazing. From 25 women to 100 women, and all offering. So I'm going rambling. I'm going to go on about the WOW gathering.
But I want you to go on about the WOW gathering.
Oh, hello, Nikki.
Nikki's there.
Nikki's here.
Hi, Nikki.
Hi, Nikki. So it was lovely. We didn't think, the question was, did you think it was going to end up, or not end up, did you think the next year was going to be as successful as it was? No, I didn't. I don't know what to expect, because I do this, to be honest, with me in mind, and I know that sounds really weird, but I do it for me first. All of this is for me first, you know, and then come along. You know, if anybody wants to follow me, like this movement, let's make a movement. Let's all enjoy it, and let's celebrate the many ways to well-being, which there is. There is so many.
Do you know, one of the best things, like, obviously, I was at the August one where we had I had the tent and the other people were around, and there weren't that many people there. But the feel of it was just an amazing day. And I knew then that, because in my mind I have this vision of where this is gonna be, like, in the future. I have, like, I can see it in 5 years' time.
Yeah.
Where it's people are going to be talking like, oh my God, are you going to the WOW this year? Let's go to the WOW this year. bring because next year we're opening it up for girls aged 12 and over.
Yes.
So bring your daughters, bring your nieces.
Yes. Very good
Bring
idea.
your cousin, bring your friends. It's going to be a movement of women who are going to spend so much time that weekend looking after themselves and each other. And I know that women don't do that generally because we're so programmed to be somebody's wife, somebody's daughter, somebody's mother, somebody's sister. We're not programmed and we're not conditioned to look after ourselves first. It's always put somebody else in front of yourself. But what is really important about self-care is you have to look after yourself in order to look after other people. You have to have the physical health, you have to have the mental health. Look after yourself, and then you will appropriately be able to look after people. How many mothers do you know who have no downtime for themselves? I remember years ago when my eldest two were tiny, I hurt my back at work, and the company sent me to a place in Harrogate, and I had to be there all week. And I think my eldest was about 7 at that time. And I went into this rehabilitation, and it was a beautiful spa kind of, anyway, it's a police thing, but it's a nice place in Harrogate. And they gave me the keys to my room. I had an ensuite room downstairs because I couldn't do stairs. My back was really damaged. And I shut the door, and I was like, my God, like for the first time in 7 years, I'd been alone because I'd had my children, and then you're constantly just looking after your family, looking after your kids, going to work, being with your colleagues. I had actually literally never been on my own, and I'm including going for a wee in that. Because when you've got little kids, like you try and shut the door and the little hand comes under the door, like they don't don't leave you alone, do they? You can't have a wee in privacy when you've got children.
My dog's like that.
Yeah. My dog comes in the bathroom. I'm like, please, can you not do that? Like, and it's like when you've got young children, or when you've given yourself responsibilities of your family and everything, it's like really hard. And I think the wow weekend is so important for people, just to be like in a safe space, to do things that maybe you've never done before, or to engage in things that you've never given yourself time to do for a year.
Definitely.
A lot of women who were there last weekend they'd never been anywhere since COVID, or they'd never been anywhere on their own.
Yeah.
And it was like they all just flung themselves into it with enthusiasm, which was wonderful.
It was, and I've heard nothing but good reports about the gathering. That it's what women really, really want, and everyone who I spoke to were like, "Oh, this sounds amazing. I need to come. I need to go. And if I can't make it this year, I'll come next year. I just want some time out." And it's like, why do we keep asking permission to do these things? Why don't we give ourselves permission? That's a massive one, I caught myself doing that today. Like with my partner, I was like asking him something, and then you know what? I was like, actually, because he went no, and I went, actually, I don't even have to ask you permission.
Yeah.
Why am I even? I know there's like honouring your partner and doing things, but for this particular thing, why was I asking permission of him to do something? So just we all do it if we think that we don't. I think we do, but it's just catching yourself and thinking, actually no. And so the weekend was something sacred, something special for us women to just embrace and do whatever you wanted to do. If you want to go to workshops, go to workshop. If you just wanted to sit on top of that absolutely spiritual hill, like with those stones and the sunrise and the gongs. I mean, I'll remember that for the rest of my life, and the bonding we did,
Amazing.
I was sat with my sister, I was sat with a lady called Louise, and I'll never forget that. It was beautiful.
I think friendships were made that weekend.
Yeah.
Definitely. Lifelong friendships. Because everybody was so open to being vulnerable
Yeah.
and sharing their problems, sharing their thoughts, and I think that's really important to acknowledge that space was so safe
Yeah. Oh, it
that
was.
you could do that.
Oh,
There
it
was
was.
no judgment. And I mean, before we went there, I said like bras are optional. Bras are always optional, but you know what I mean.
Oh, totally. When we were doing
It's like
this Shakti dancing, it's Shakti, I can't even pronounce it.
Shakti, yeah.
Oh, we were just like free. I mean, if anybody watching us must have thought, what, like, can you imagine people who really don't know what we're doing thinking they're crazy? They're crazy, man.
Yeah,
But
we'll
we were
have
like,
that.
who cares? We were just
Yeah,
free. It was
we'll have
brilliant.
that. We'll absolutely have that. We'll be crazy if that's what people want to think of
Yeah,
us.
who
You
cares?
know, that's true freedom, isn't it? Not giving
Yeah,
a toss what other people think about you.
yeah, totally, totally. And
It was amazing. And what about because we've decided for sure, because we didn't know the day before, because we'd said for months, didn't we? If there's only me and you in a tent in that field and nobody
all
else
right.
comes,
Yeah,
we'll still have a cracking time.
yeah,
And that still stands, doesn't it?
yeah.
That still
I'm trying to read what Nikki's saying as you
Nikki says, I have zero support with my child, hence why she was at the WOW gathering. She was very welcome. But I'm so glad she gets to be part of the wellness and recovery world. That's fantastic. I actually did a drumming workshop with her.
Oh, it says here she was at the drumming workshop. The amount of smiles and support she had was so beautiful. Yeah,
Brilliant.
exactly how I feel when I go away with a few friends in the vans and sit with a fire on the beach. Yeah,
Yeah,
and feeling
that's what we did. We had,
that's
I don't know if Satty's watching, but
oh, it was lovely.
some of the lasses and Satty, who's an artist who came and did amazing workshops, sat round the campfire. We literally had piles and piles and piles of wood,
Yeah,
an open fire, we all sat round on chairs, had hot chocolate, ate cake, and literally some of us sat round all night
yeah,
with that fire going through Saturday night, and it was just
yeah.
amazing, just talking and telling stories, sharing experiences, and having a fantastic time.
Do you
It was
know as well,
brilliant.
Rie? Do you know where I stayed in the pod? And I stayed in the pod with first of all, it was like a free for all. Come and stay in the pod. There was there was me, my sister, Shannon, and Claire, who were track volunteers at first, and then they went home on the Saturday night babysitting duties and things. Then my sister stayed and Louise stayed, and at the back window you looked out onto the hill. You could see the gong on the top.
Oh,
Like so
wow.
we wouldn't have so when we came I got up for the sunrise. I don't think I ever went to sleep. I was kind of like just
Yeah.
excited, but I think I could have just opened the window and listened.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
it
was
was
amazing.
yeah,
I was standing on the Friday night because the gongs were up on the top, and the moon, it wasn't a full moon, but it was out, and it was obviously at this time of the year because the sun is just going down there and the moon's there, so the sun's still shining on the moon, and it was so bright, and it just over the night it just arched its way across the sky
yeah,
over the hill, and it because the sun was there and the gong was there, and it was like having two moons,
yeah.
and it just went like that.
Oh,
It was just absolutely amazing. It was so, I can't even describe. It was just so grounding
yeah.
to be there, be in nature, listen to the birds. There was no electricity in my tent. It was great.
And
I just,
The music was beautiful, wasn't it? You know, and so powerful.
yeah,
And I've shared some of the music on the WowGav feed, and I think on the Women Only Recovery group, I've
yeah,
done that just so the women can hear it because
yeah. It's
it's really
brilliant. So if you're watching this and you're not in the WOW Gathering group, please either, because what I'll do is when I come off, I'll put the link in the comments, and I'll put the link on a post anyway. And Suzanne's saying it sounds way better than Download Festival. Yes, and I told you. So definitely for sure next year, we've got it set for the 10th of June.
yeah 10th.
So come on if you want to, if you can stand it. Come on the Friday night. Oh, it's the Friday afternoon. I think I was there at about 4 o'clock in the
Yeah,
afternoon.
yeah,
And just set up. Helen will be there with her truck. with her cake and food and coffee and whatnot. And then we'll start on Saturday morning, do workshops, try something that you've never done before. And we had 30 workshops this year.
Yeah.
And I think my aim, because I'm the one doing that side of it, is 60.
Why
60 workshops. I think we can do that. 60
Yeah.
different 60 workshops throughout the day between 11 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock at night. And then up the hill for a gathering and a gong ceremony.
Yeah.
And
Beautiful.
whatever else we can come up with this, because
Definitely.
we've got 12 months. Goodness knows what's going to happen.
I know. It's exciting.
It's exciting. So pencil it in, people, for the 10th of June, and do come and stay over. And if you're in the area, you don't have to stay in the campsite if you don't like tents. There's loads of different places, B&Bs and stuff, really within like 10-15 minutes drive.
Yeah.
And it's just a lovely space. It's a lovely, calm, peaceful, bird tweeting, sun shining, moon shining place, isn't it?
Something spiritual about it. You know, when you go some places and you don't feel that vibe or that feeling, well, everyone who goes there does feel that feeling. They'll go,
Yeah.
yeah, I can feel like it's just so lovely. And you can see Roseberry topping and the views. I know, you can though, can't you? And it's like all the views for miles and miles. And do you know, really well though, and we've learned things as well, haven't we? We're learning and we're developing and we're progressing, and we've had feedback. People haven't been shy and giving us feedback, and
Yeah,
you know, every year
I value that feedback, because I think it's our responsibility as organisers of this amazing event to take that feedback and make it better.
Yeah, of course.
Because what we said, wasn't it, was like right from the beginning, we want this to be, I know this is kind of corporate, but a brilliant customer experience. And that's what we wanted.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we got. I think that's what everybody got, was a fantastic experience.
Do you know what else I'm feeling though? I'm feeling, you know, I was listening, reading Suzanne's comment, and she's talking about the download, but I read her comment before, a couple of days ago, about the download, and she said it's so busy, it's so big, like it took her ages to walk, if I've got this right, from a campsite to the actual event. Now, I don't know where I want this to go, because I really want this authentic, kind of smallish.
Yeah, definitely.
Small. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what it is. I kind of know what I want, and it will develop into what it should be, I suppose. But the bigger it is, I don't know. It's not that kind of thing. I don't think. I'm not sure.
It's not about making money, although making money for TRAC this year is really important. What's really important, well, for me, number one, is because obviously I'm a volunteer at your charity, and it was to make some money for the charity.
Of course.
But because of my background and your background as well, it was to give women an absolutely amazing experience.
Yeah.
All day long.
All inclusive. So we're not talking about retreats that even though they're amazing, fabulous places to go.
But it was only 25 quid.
Yeah, it was to include everybody, but it was also, like you said, for a charitable event. It was so that on top of women enjoying themselves and including all women, and make it affordable for women to try all these different things. 25 quid to have access to all of those workshops. It's just unbelievable. And then to kind of, I don't know, forgot what I was going to say now. Forgot.
I just think for next year, it will be bigger next year, but it is a big field.
Yeah.
There's plenty of room for growth.
Yeah.
But you're right. And it could probably be 5 times bigger, but I think we'd have to stop there.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think it'll be what it'll be, but we'll just monitor it and listen to the feedback from everybody, because that's the really important. It's not just about what we want; it's about what everybody wants, because that's what the aim is. It's a collection of people getting together. But yeah, that was it. Women helping women. So it's a charitable event. I'm in recovery from drugs and alcohol abuse. A lot of it was through narcissist. Well, it started through a narcissistic. How I've traced it back, a narcissistic mother, if you like that word or not, that's kind of where the roots are. And then as a result, it's like as if it's the result, but that led me into wanting to change the way I feel. Drink and drugs was involved in that, and then abusive partners. As I went to go out with a lot of abusive partners. I can't get my words out tonight. And then yeah, the drink and drugs and stuff. And like, I just want to support other women going through that kind of thing. Yeah.
It's all about the recovery process as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the self-love and the self-care is all part of the recovery process, because I think a lot of people, in my experience, who've been subject, like addictions, like drug and alcohol addictions, and also drug and alcohol addiction and recovery is part of your trauma process as well, because it's awful. Being in an abusive relationship is traumatic as well. And I think going through this, you've got to put yourself first, because that's what keeps you out of those bothersome places. Because if you put yourself first, you're not going to accept that people can be horrible to you. You're not going to accept that your parents are narcissistic. You're not going to accept the abuse from somebody. You just say, right, actually, if I put myself first, that actually puts your ducks in a row, doesn't it?
Oh, babe. And you know what? It sounds so simple, and yet it's taken me so many years.
I know.
So many years, and abusing myself and punishing myself for somebody else's actions towards me. And I don't want the rest of my life to be like that. And I have to take charge of that. I have to take control, because nobody else will do that for me.
Yeah.
And to cut a long story short, I've tried everything. I talk about my mum because that's, and it's a really difficult subject to talk about, because in the main, people sometimes will say, oh, well, why don't you get on with your mum? What happens? But, I can trace this right back to being born. I know I'm diverting here, but I feel like it's really important to tell you kind of what my background is and why I abuse drugs. And I think, like, I was born 6 weeks premature. I was put in an incubator. I wasn't placed on my mum's chest after birth. They've done a lot of research in breeding, how that should happen. And also, she was an alcoholic. Her dad was an alcoholic. So here's the hereditary, the historic stuff, ancestry stuff. She was traumatized. She didn't deal with her trauma. She passed it on to me. I'm traumatized. She traumatized me. And then I abused drink and drugs. It could have been food. It could have been anything, but that's what came out of chose. And then the cycle didn't stop. I went out with abusive men because it felt right. I didn't know what love was. I thought that was love. My tolerance was, is it low or high? High to that abuse. And then drugs were and yes, I dabbled with drugs, but then it was introduced as a means of control, and that was Class A drugs. I finally kind of did it. So that ties in with the domestic abuse and drug use. It gets very, like, what do you call it, Rie? It's just all entwined and really insidious, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I've left the door open with my mum for many, many years, right? And I've really tried to make it work, because it's my mum. I'm supposed to love my mum. She's supposed to love me, It's like I couldn't get it into my head and accept that she was never, well, for now, at the moment, she's never going to change unless she decides to do some work on herself. And ironically, she's drinking a lot now. But what I've had to do, which was really hard for me, is come last Christmas, I've closed the door on her completely. And she has no power over me anymore, and I'm free to be me. And I'm 50 now, And it's taken me all of those years to do that.
Mm-hmm. It is hard.
Amazing feeling.
Yeah, because the only
Really?
way, and culturally, we're supposed to, come hell or high water, make sure that we're friends with our mothers.
Yeah, look after your elders, look after your mum. She's gave birth to you. Where's your respect? That's all I hear, and
Yeah.
it's like,
And when it's Mother's Day, it's like, what? You
yeah,
don't have anything to do with your Mother's Day? Well,
yeah,
Well, no.
yeah. But
Why
only
would you?
people understand if they've been through it themselves, don't they?
Totally. Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
but when I find that person, I'll hold tight to them because, and I found quite a few, especially in the recovery circles,
Yeah.
because they do get me, and I don't feel like a horrible,
Yeah.
spoiled, vindictive child. Do you know what I mean? And that's like kind of
Yeah, and that's what comes over culturally, isn't it? Well,
yeah,
what?
it is.
You don't speak to your mother? Well, why would I? She's
Yeah,
horrible.
yeah.
She's mean to
Oh, you
me.
wouldn't
And
want
what's
it for a
really
child.
bizarre, what I find really bizarre is like you can have siblings. For me, because I have a narcissistic mother and I don't have any contact with her. But if she was ill, I mean, she's very elderly now. If she was ill, I'd be there. Do you know what I mean? I would,
Yeah,
I would go. If there was only one person to go to hospital, I would go, and that's the way you do it. But I know that if within 2 minutes, if I picked up the phone and rang her, she would be talking about somebody in a horrible way,
yeah,
and I can't do that.
yeah. Same.
So I've had to cut myself off from that, from
Yeah.
my health and well-being,
Yes.
and that's really hard. And it took
You know what?
me like years.
Do you know what, Rie? Like, I was doing some child within work, and I was teaching it as well, and I absolutely love that. And it took me so long to get the concept love and kindness to myself first.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
me first. Like, why was that so hard to get my head around? Respect me, value myself.
Because we're conditioned not to do that. We're conditioned as women to put everybody ahead of us. We're conditioned to serve the men first, serve the kids. It was like the men eat first, then the kids, and then the girls. Like it's like, what's that about? And
Yeah,
that's all part of the conditioning, and we'll have to give away that guilty feeling that we have when we're not doing that. Because how can you look after other people if you don't look after yourself first?
exactly.
And Nikki's saying, Nikki feels this. She says, "Oh, you're not 50th. She thought you were in your late 30s."
Thank you.
Yeah, well, you're right. She is. She lied. So yeah, it's all about, and that's what happened on the Women Only Wellness Weekend. We just threw ourselves into enjoyment and learning new things and no inhibitions about what other people think about us, dancing around in a field and going to different workshops. And it was absolutely amazing. And it's going to get better. It's going to get better.
I feel like I have loads to say, and then when I come to it, I forget.
I know. But we'll come on again. We'll have to come on again because it's gone past 8. Thank you so much for coming on tonight, Annalice.
Oh, thank
Really
you.
appreciate your time.
And I appreciate it.
Absolutely love working with you.
And I love working with you too.
And, thank you for everybody who's watching live. Thank you for everybody who's watching on replay. And if you're on YouTube, share it with your friends. Actually, share it anyway, because the wider we get, the more women we'll bring in. And if you love your women in your life, bring them. Anybody over 12 can come to the wellness event next year. It's going to be fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.